welcome back to Brew and Banter for our episode 2. I'm your girl Ebs, and we have our lovely hosts with us, Duell and Dr. Dray in the house. And hey, Duell, you up first. What you got brewing in your cup?
Well, what I have brewing this week is a little cherry coke, but with a splash of adult juice, aka whiskey. Thanks to our awesome friend and co-host, Mr. Dr. Dre. Thank you so much for blessing my cup this afternoon, afternoon evening time, because I really
Yeah,
needed
not a
it. It's
problem.
Friday,
Not a
y'all.
problem at all. Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask anyways, Dre. But I think I know the answer. What you got brewing in your cup?
Well, I mean, mine is not. It's not cherry Coke because I don't have that much of a sweet tooth. But I've decided that I'd use regular Coke and just put it in this cup. This has reflect upon it because that's what we'll be doing today during our podcast. It also makes me look super professional. I figured I needed that because they do call me Dr. Dre. So let's get it together, right?
Let's get together.
Yes.
Well, I just got the good old tequila with some lime. Kept it real
Come
simple.
on.
Strong.
Yes.
It's a
For
good
this
old
topic, it's
strong
gonna be
beverage.
Because these are
um,
some strong topics today.
right. So I was like, I'm just
Hmm.
gonna no chaser on this one. It's just straight to the head.
That's it.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
So
good
let's
for the
get
soul.
into it. This episode of Falling Out Over Facts, and our first person up on the chopping block this week is Mr. Kimmel,
Whew,
Mm,
Jimmy
child.
Kimmel.
mm, mm.
Let's talk about it, y'all. What y'all think about him being canned indefinitely? Why are you just throwing
Indefinitely.
definitely on it? Like he could never work in TV again? What is this indefinitely?
Yeah, I mean, he could always get another show, so on another network, or even do a podcast series if he wanted to. But the thing is, I feel like it's unfair that Jimmy is losing, his position on late night television because he's such a staple. Everyone loves him. There's not a negative thing to say about Jimmy. However, I know we've briefly talked about this in private, but bringing it to the podcast and to all of our viewers, there's a very important conversation to be had about what can be said on air and what can't be said on air. I know we all have our own political opinions about how things are going on in our current political climate. However, I don't believe that what he said would garner for them to give him the chop and treat him so. I understand if he was one of those really opinionated late night hosts who's always putting his own opinions out there without being mindful of the fact that he you know does work for a conservative network, and the network has sponsors who are also conservatives, so you can't say certain things that go against their agenda, or else you'll be reprimanded. And I think that's what happened with Jimmy. Jimmy was speaking on, for what we were all speaking on, and unfortunately that cost him his job. But there's been a lot of celebrities who have spoken out, who back him. So let's get into it.
It's just crazy. What do you think, Dre?
I just think that he really didn't say too much. Like Jimmy, all he said was that the MAGA gang was desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. And that was it. That was the end of it. I'm like, okay, so he just basically said that this guy's acting like one of these crazy people out here in the world. And I'm not trying to say all MAGA people are crazy, but the the gist is that's what he was trying to say. So if he had simply had the opinion that MAGA people have um, very strong ideas about what should be done with particular people, then why is it that it's just so ridiculous to me? They said, okay, you commented on this. I made your opinion known about this group of people, and we didn't like your opinion, so we're going to go ahead and let you go. I just don't get
Yeah,
it.
I think
I feel like it is
yeah.
broaching the First Amendment, rights of people everywhere. Like, you can't say, I mean, it's literally an opinion. He didn't say that person belongs to this gang and he's repping for them. He got the tattoo to prove it, and this is what it is. And I know I have all the facts. He just was voicing his opinion and lost his job. And it's not just him; it's people all over the country who are voicing their opinions about this particular situation, and they're losing their jobs. He just happens to be one of the most famous people losing their job.
It's crazy. I think the backlash is going to be what they didn't expect. Like I was seeing that people are now like canceling their Disney subscriptions, their Hulu subscriptions.
They are.
There's this whole boycott, and it's like I think, I mean, the only way people could fight back against this type of control is by using our money wisely, like spending it wisely. I think they forget that without the consumer, they're not going to really have much of a station anyways. They're not going to have, you know, they're just going to go on the wayside and just be another what is it? What was it? What was that?
WB
The WB. Like it's
or the
just
C
gonna
the C
be
the CW. You talking about the
the
CW?
CW. Yeah, like it's
Y'all
just
took
gonna
it back. Y'all
Yeah,
took it all the way back.
it's just gonna
the
be one of those. Where it's
CW.
like, okay, nobody really listens to you, and you know, you're not even a factor.
Right.
Yeah.
I,
That's how
I
it's gonna
wonder
be.
though, was it really the statement that he made versus that, or more so how he showed Trump's reaction to when he was asked about um, how is he, how is he dealing with the loss of a good friend, and he went straight into talking about the ballroom being built, um, and the
Yeah.
backlash
and,
from that.
and so
That was
yeah,
it. Because
but that's even
Jimmy
pettier.
always has receipts. Exactly. He is, but the thing is, he always has receipts. Jimmy is always going to have receipts. Yes, he's going to find a way to put a comedic spin on it because that's what he does. However, the Trump administration is upset because of the fact that Jimmy's been calling them out for a while now. It's just this is the one thing that they could have done to get back at him, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what they did. They took this man's job. His people probably called up ABC and said, "Hey, if you don't pull this, we're gonna have an issue. We're gonna shut the
Oh,
whole
his
thing
people
down."
sure did. The FCC guy was the one who, made it. It's just, what do you guys think though? Like, um, because I mean, he can sue for this. It is an infringement on his First Amendment right, and you have the
Can
contrast of the commentator on Fox who made that statement regarding that homeless people should be euthanized uh, involuntarily, publicly. And then, less than 48 hours, you have two homeless encampments that are being um, shot up. And there was nothing done on that end to reprimand him for making that statement. It's just a slippery slide. It's a slippery rope or a slippery slide and a very thin rope to start doing this. Because then next, when we do have a Democratic, you know, uh, person and president and control, what if that they
yeah,
start doing that too? Just start going after conservative, talk show host and saying, "Oh, you're saying this, so we're gonna get your show canceled." Like it's just one of those things that it's like I feel like it's a slippery slope to
it
where it
is.
could
You
be
know,
it can be now applied to both sides, and I don't think either side shouldn't be condemned for whatever they say. Like no matter how you can, George Carlin said it perfectly on one of his skits back in the day, or one of his stand-up comedies. Like there's two knobs. One is to turn off, and one is to turn the channel on a radio and on a TV. So it's like you can just change the channel if you don't like what you're hearing. Um,
Absolutely.
I just think that this is taking it a
Absolutely.
little step too far, and I'm just curious
right?
to see what people like reaction is going to be to this.
I
It
feel
also
like
makes you mindful about what you can and cannot say on television. It's like it makes you mindful of how you're going to make your opinion known. It's not saying that we can't have a freedom of speech, and I don't mean to cut you off, Dre. I didn't mean to, but
you're good.
it's like now we have to be very cautious and very mindful in the sense of, okay, how do I state my opinion without getting the backlash of possibly losing my job, losing my livelihood, being arrested or whatever. So I think they're taking Jimmy and making him an example to everyone else in the industry who does talk about politics. I'm sure people at The View and SNL and all those other places of people are now kind of like, ooh, if that's going to happen, that could cost us as well. So it's got everybody kind of like either on eggshells or people who are willing to speak up a lot more because of Jimmy's firing. But go ahead.
What were you gonna say, Dray? Did he freeze? Okay.
It's in very deep, deep
I
thought.
honestly forgot what I was going to say. Your point was better than mine.
No, that wasn't. Everybody's point is good. No, I
Everybody's point is
agree with that.
valid.
What I think though, like it's come to that point only if you speak against our president. That's the only time where it's like, and that's where it started to get like, okay, this is kind of, you know, it, I don't know, and it's when you have the right people in place to do the bidding for you, it's we're the ones that are going to be um, getting the brunt of it, and that's just what's it's crazy.
Exactly.
So, what about when you talk out or speak out against um, a very famous studio head? What happens then?
Hmm.
Speaking of,
Mm. Mm.
I know where we're going with this one.
Time to sip.
What does happen?
Well, the first thing that happens is you get your very own up close and personal interview. That's the first thing that happens. The next thing that happens is that I'm feeling like a whole bunch of money goes into your pocket. That's what I'm thinking. And
Maybe around 260 million, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
that's a very specific number, Ebbs. Very specific number.
Yes. According to our sources, actor Derek Dixon of the famous Tyler Perry show, The Oval, is currently suing Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios for the whopping amount of $260 million lawsuit for sexual harassment.
Ugh.
He recently sat down with ABC News Live Prime correspondent Lindsay Davis to give her all the deeds. So, what do we think about our accuser coming out and speaking out and spilling all the tea?
First off, kudos to him for having the courage to do so. Um, I mean, now it's out there. Uh, all the stuff is so. I don't even know what to say. I can't. Dre, you take
I
it away.
feel I feel like I agree with you that he was courageous to come out and tell his story, but I also feel like before the story came out, all the things I used to hear about Tyler Perry were things about philanthropy and helping people in general, helping the Black community get to be seen and so forth and so on. And I'm thinking that even if, let's say they go to court and he doesn't get convicted or whatever. Um, this particular story is going to overshadow all of that. He's only going to be remembered for this particular story. And that's kind of terrible. I mean, he's done so many good things. And I'm not saying that he should get away with whatever terrible things he did because of all the money he's gotten, all the money he's shared with um, the Black community in particular. But it's going to overshadow all the good things that he's done. And I think that kind of sucks. But if he did it, you got to sit down and get punished, I guess.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
it's a
plus,
no. Go
go ahead.
ahead. Sorry. No, I was just saying it's just some crazy allegations. I mean, they okay. So it's not like the craziest of allegations. Just I don't think so. You have that they were drinking. Perry had climbed into his bed and touched his leg. Inappropriate. I think where it draws a line, because now you have these text messages, is it's an employer
Mm.
employee situation. Because it's like, some things may be just, it's alleged, it's like, he allegedly did this until you
Mm.
have hardcore evidence. You got to prove it in court. Like, did he touch your leg? Did he, come on to you the way that you said? But what works in Dixon's favor is that he has text messages
Hmm.
and
And photos.
photos. And even, I can't speak to the mind of Tyler, or what he was thinking. It's still the employee, and now it becomes that like gray area. And then there was a show he was developing that he let Tyler have the rights to, and so that was kind of dangled over in his mind, he felt was dangled over his head. And so now you're having that other element of, if you don't do X, Y, and Z for me, I can I have your career at the palm of my hands, and I
Block your
can
opportunities.
I can block your opportunities. So now you're put in the situation: do I comply because I don't want my career to be just gone away? And so then now it becomes that area where it's like, yeah, um, now
Yeah.
now we're getting into the federal laws that are being broken when it comes to employer
Absolutely.
and employee.
Absolutely, but it also is kind of like a classic case of what we know in the industry as the casting couch situation. As I think Mr. Dixon also mentioned in the interview with Lindsay Davis, that of how he had met Tyler. At the time, he was working a party, I think, as a server, and he claimed that Tyler kind of discovered him and said, "Hey, are you an actor?" And he replied, "Yes, I'm an actor, but I'm not working right now." And Tyler, I guess, said, "Oh, we need to change that." And that's how he put him on the Oval for, I don't know how many seasons he was on the Oval, but this was probably like the long game. He was
Yeah.
basically made, allegedly, we want to say allegedly because we are, on this program, we want to say allegedly for legal purposes, but at the same time, it could have been a long game situation, and to kind of build his trust. And the fact that Tyler invited him to his home, and it wasn't about business. It was never about business. It was allegedly he, under the guise of, let's go over your script or let's talk about this. But it was such an intimate space that things kind of went left, and Tyler kind of crossed the line when it comes to, like you said, employee employer relationships. And the fact that he'd be willing to block this young man from any future career opportunities, including the script that he had let Tyler read of his pilot, and Tyler had said, "Hey, I'm gonna greenlight your show and get it made, but you have to do, like you said, X, Y, and Z in order to make that happen." That's unfair. And on top of that, it's like, he wants to sue for the $260 million settlement. Not just, he said it wasn't just about the money. He said it was about holding billionaires and public figures accountable for their actions, and the fact that he had been this has cost him work and for other productions and things like that, because now people don't know whether he's telling the truth or not. So that's staying in the way of his career and if people are going to hire him or not. So it's very sticky. It's very messy. I hope it gets resolved. I hope the truth prevails. But at the same time, if Mr. Perry did do this, then yes, hold him accountable. Um, the only way people are going to learn, like we said earlier with Jimmy, to hit people where it hurts, the conservatives where they hurt, is usually in their pockets. That's when they wake up and understand. But if this is a false accusation just to extort more money from Tyler and his business, then it could get really real nasty for Mr. Dixon. So we're I know the legal teams are trying to cipher through all of the documentation and investigate the best that they can. So I guess we just got to wait and see what happens.
Right. Right. Just, yeah, This is crazy. It's crazy. So, question: do you think that, like, we're artists in the industry? Do you think it's a fine line? Like, I've worked in corporate. It's very clear what you cannot do as an employer, even if you're not even an employer, even if you're just in a higher position, for example, a manager and an associate, or a account executive and their assistant. There's certain things that are in place in HR that specifically you cannot do. Do you think that because in the entertainment industry, um, it is an art. It is an art. Everybody's there to collaborate. Do you feel like that corporate mentality is kind of left on the sidelines, and they don't really think about that they still are held to that standard of, like, there's guidelines, there's employee guidelines that you have to go by, and like having, if you're having somebody read for your script, doing it during office hours, not having them in your home. I understand that we do have this, the like um, camaraderie with people, and you're like, hey, just come over, let's have a glass of wine. Not even having, so when I started out years ago, my manager, the first thing she told me was, if director or anybody from anything you work on invites you to lunch after you've wrapped, do not go. If they, and let by yourself, if it's a group thing, because I was on a
That's
commercial,
different, yeah.
it was everyone, and it was okay, we're all going for lunch, everybody's there. But there's certain things, it's like, once you are done with your set, whatever you're done, you leave. And I understand there are places in a time where you do want to, um,
Network.
mingle with your colleagues, but it's that one-on-one where it can get
Yeah.
kind of dicey, because you don't know, especially if it's after hours, and then there's alcohol involved, because who knows, Tyler, and not to defend any one or the other, but what if there was some mixed signals, and which, the the lines were blurred a little, and one or the other may have misread something, thinking that it was, more than what it was. But what I will say from the interview that I watched, if he did tell him no, that if there was a line that was blurred, the moment he told him no, that should have deaded it right there in the water.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Right.
clear. He did say no. He said he wasn't comfortable, which caused
That should
him
have deaded
to
it right there.
barricade himself in the house, like in whatever the room it was that he claimed that he was barricaded in to protect himself. Because at the same time, like you said, the lines, it went from being blurred to like a line has is clearly been a boundary has clearly been made, and we don't know. Like I said, we're just
Spec-
reporters.
we're
We're
just
just speculating.
we're spectators speculating on
Mm-hmm.
a
Exactly. We're
on a
just these are
on
just
a
our
situation.
opinions. We're not please don't come for us. But like I said,
Opinions.
uh,
Lord, don't cut us off.
please. Um the line, like I said, the line was clear, and if you cross that line, then like I said, it's on the person who crossed it to be at fault. But at the same time, it's still very early. There's probably going to be a lot more proceedings going on where they're going to find more information, more facts, more evidence, more things,
If
from both
Tyler's smart, he'll
sides.
settle. If he's smart, he'll settle. He won't settle for the 260 million, but he'll settle in Deadfest.
I say it'll be way less than 260. It'll be maybe I would say maybe in the 10 range, maybe 10. I would say
Maybe enough for lost wages, because
yes.
he did file with the federal, what is it, EEOC, or the Employment Equity Department,
He
whatever.
did file, yeah.
But so they're gonna look at both things to see what each person has, and what the evidence they have, and if it looks like you got the right to sue, they're gonna give you that right to sue. And I think the best thing is to settle. And like I said, what is 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 a messed up situation is the text messages. You can't refute that. That's digital. That has that's already crossed the line.
Yeah.
Anything else out the door, you can speculate. But when he dropped the text messages, it's like you're
That's proof.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's not, and it's happened before with two other actors, including actor Christian Keys, who we spoke about before, who was another accuser who spoke up against sexual harassment in the past and alluded that it had to do with a quote unquote creator, screenwriter, alluding to possibly being, his employer. So it's starting to sound like it's a reoccurrence, and it makes you question why does he cast certain actors for certain projects? Is it because of their talent, or is he setting himself up, for something else to happen?
right,
It's the cast. It, like I said, it's the casting couch. It's not. We've seen it with a lot with female actresses speaking up, especially with the Harvey Weinstein and all that stuff happening with female actresses. But this is the first time we're seeing it from a male point of view, a male actor being propositioned by a studio head or a director or cast. Not saying that it hasn't happened before, but this is the first time in a
first time
long
this
time
yeah, and I'm sure
that
it
it's
has.
like,
Terry Crews had said something about what had happened to him before, and
yes.
it's just now like we're seeing it, and it's as it should deserve its own space, and it should have the light because it's never okay, regardless of who it is. So it's good to see that he had the courage to speak up about it, and hopefully, people will see because it's wrong. Regardless, it's just it's not a good position to be in, especially for an artist, an actor, because we rely so much and depend so much on getting in the audition room and getting the job, and then when you have the job, you want to keep it, and there's that fear that you can be replaced, and so
Mhm.
And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. You are totally right, Ebbs. It's like, I think as soon as they basically cut him out of the script. They cut his character out. I think his character either died or got into a coma
was
or
gonna
something like
die.
that.
Yeah, it was gonna die,
Go
and
ahead.
then he wrote him back. He no, because he got shot like so many times, but then they wrote him
Yeah,
back,
yeah, yeah.
and then he ended up just quitting on his own. He couldn't take it anymore. Yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
toxic situation. And talking about toxic situations, Devin Walker from Saturday Night Live said he was toxic as hell. So what's going on with this exodus at SNL right now? What's
So,
going on? He's not the
as
first.
of He's not the first. He's
No,
actually one of five cast members who are exiting this before the new season of SNL starts in October. Recently, like you said, Devin Walker has spoken out about his departure from the SNL cast, as well as beloved cast member Ego Nwodum, who after 7 seasons has announced her departure via Instagram, in which she said the hardest part of a great party is knowing when to say goodbye. I thought that was a very clever quote, a very classy quote. She basically she had an exclusive interview post making that announcement on the Today Show, in which she basically said that the show was a stepping stone to bigger and better opportunities. She wants to continue to do film and television, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. She's most memorable for her sketch Lisa from Temecula, which went viral in 2023. Like I said, she's been there 7 seasons. She started the 44th season of SNL, which was in 2018. And basically, another notable thing is, which is interesting because last season or the season before, she also went viral for a moment on SNL that was unexpected. It was kind of an accident. When a studio audience shouted out what is it, not
Expletive.
derogatory. It's a, yeah, expletive, during the live taping during a Weekend Update during one of her sketches in which she wrote.
It was so good
So
too.
it was so good. A lot of her sketches, every time she jumps into something, it's going to be good. But like I said, she doesn't have any hard feelings against SNL, the cast, Lauren Michaels, or anybody. She's really just thankful for the opportunity. But it does open the conversation to, why a lot of our POC cast members are leaving or departing SNL. She is, I think, one of 8 who have left, and there's only really been like 8 or 9 cast members in the entire 50 seasons of SNL, which is kind of odd. Before her and Devin have left, Leslie Jones has left, Sashir Zameda, Chris Redd, a lot of other people. The only person of color of African American descent that we know of on the show that's not going anywhere is Kenan Thompson. He is a lifelong.
Keenan ain't going nowhere.
I got a
No.
job. I got a job, and it pays the bills. I wonder though, like with Lisa Leslie. I feel like
Leslie Jones.
Leslie
sorry,
Jones.
I keep calling. You're right. I'm sorry, Lisa Leslie. My bad.
Yes,
My
it's
bad.
all
Leslie.
good. We love them both. We love y'all both.
We love them both. I'm sorry. So, because I wonder with like her, like it seems like her career kind of took off after SNL. Like you have like Eddie Murphy who left and did his own thing. Um, so
Chris Rock.
some of them I feel like and then like with Keenan, like he was a child actor, and and then now he's like on his end of time, not end of times, but like he's good. We all know who he is. Do you think that maybe it has to do with more like they want to leave to explore, but like you said, better opportunities, or is it something deeper with just how the production, like the studio heads are? It's funny, I think Devin Walker is probably the first person I've heard has been real honest about what goes on behind the scenes. He just said it's toxic as hell. Like they don't have no humanity, and that speaks a lot to me as far as like. So I wonder what it's like behind the closed doors when they are talking to the studio heads, and is it just more this time? Is it more on that like of the reason they're leaving?
I wonder if it
Yeah.
is like when he
Go
says
ahead.
toxic, does he mean colorism? Does he mean that it's because I'm thinking that the schedule that they keep, like they have to have an hour long show every week. It's live. They got to be practicing rehearsing all the time. And maybe at some point the studio heads or whoever it is that's in charge of them gets frustrated and is like, you need to get these lines down, even though they're in front of you on a card, but we need to, figure this out. And maybe he wasn't used to that. I mean, he's younger, right? Devin Walker is younger. He might not be used to that kind of pressure. So he might have said, "Oh, it's toxic because Gen Z, everything's toxic if it's not super easy." But and I'm thinking also the other people that left who were of color. I don't. I from what I read, I didn't see anybody saying anything about the way that things were on set or with any of the people. They just left. And all of them seem to have gone on to do bigger and better things. And it's not just them. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler left and went and did bigger and better things. I mean, so many people, whether they were of color or not, have left there, used SNL as a springboard to bigger and
As
better things, just like Ego Bodum was saying. So, is it
I,
really a
I
color
hear
thing?
that. I agree. Okay? So I'm gonna say this. I have been watching SNL for a very long time. So recently, this year, they came out with a documentary series based, in celebration of the 50th season. However, working for SNL is much different than watching SNL. They have a very rigorous schedule. It's very time consuming. It's very grueling. Whether you are a person of color, on the show or behind the scenes or a non person of color, it is rigorous. It's very competitive because a lot of these cast members are not only just cast members, they're also the writers. So you have to think about it from a point of view where you're competing to get your sketch on this week's episode. And you're doing that every week. You are spending most of your time at the office and not at home because you are constantly rewriting your sketch in order for it to be considered by Lauren and the other higher ups to be on air. Because not only do they have to consider that, but they also have to consider the guest host too. They're writing for the guest host, they're writing these sketches. And it's like, if I'm not getting enough screen time, if I'm fighting every week and I'm not even getting half as many screen time as Keenan or Heidi Gardner or anybody else who is like in the who are the top earners, the top people, then of course I'm gonna bow out gracefully because I don't want to keep if I'm on the show and I'm not being utilized and I'm not being respected and I'm in a place where it's like I'm stressed. I'm coming to work stressed because if I don't produce something, I'm going to get cut. So in order for them not to get fired themselves, a lot of them will just not renew their contracts and leave, as
Right.
opposed to people like you mentioned, Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, Will Ferrell. They've all went off and had amazing movie and television careers. I get it. However, for people that are actors of color, the performance on the show, it's a 50-50 chance whether you're going to be like a Eddie Murphy or Chris Rock or Leslie Jones. Not everybody from the show gets that many opportunities after. And I think that's what Devin was talking about. It's toxic because of the fact that him and a lot of other people, the newer cast members, they're barely in sketches. They barely make it in sketches. If they're not written in by other writers, they don't get to work. The only time you'll see them is at the good nights at the end when they're saying good night to everybody because they're contracted to be there.
I think it can go both ways though, because I
Yeah.
feel that you gotta put your game up. There's always going to be somebody better. There's always going to be somebody who's going to write better. There's always going to be somebody who's going to have a better sketch. To deem it as, from what he says, it was just, the lack of humanity and the time, giving them the time to have a personal life. Like you said, it's a grueling schedule. It's done every week. You do have they do go on, like a little break, but it's still every week you're writing and every week you are competing. You got to be better than the others. You got to have something funnier. You got to have something catchier. I think a lot of people do the bare minimum and don't realize, not saying that that's what, some of these cast members did, but it's like it has to land. And I don't necessarily think, maybe it is toxic in that sense, but it's like, you're in sketch comedy, like it has to land. And then, like you said, you only have an hour to get the sketch in, so they're looking at everybody's sketches as a whole and seeing like, okay, these are the funniest that we feel right now, or these will land with what's current, so we're gonna pick those. And you do have those seasoned people like that are on the show. They've been doing it for so long. Yeah, of course it's gonna be they're gonna be able to know the audience. And I think it goes to also, as an artist, you have to study your audience. You have to study, and especially in sketch, who's watching sketch, who's let me study like what's going on with, like, you know I'm sure they have, not surveys, but like they can kind of, I think it's maybe called a survey, I don't know, but like can tell like this landed with the audience, this viewer on, when this person's on, the viewerships go up when this
Yeah.
person's sketch is being, so okay, we'll keep running that. So it's a business too. But I do feel like,
Yeah.
when your time is, when your time is up, and when it's time to move out of that
Move
space
on.
and move
Yeah.
on. And it was just interesting because he was the one person who was so honest in his,
Candid. Yeah.
candid about it. And so that was interesting.
Yeah. I feel you. I'm looking at it from both points of view. You both are making really really great points. I think it's a amalgamation of everything. It's knowing when it's time to leave, knowing your worth, because it also could be a situation with contracts. If you've been there for 7 or 8 seasons and you haven't received, and your sketches are getting all the ratings and you're reoccurring and all this other stuff, but you're at that same base rate that you had when you first signed on, and it's been 7 or 8 years, I'd be looking for like a little bit of like, hey, can I get a little bump, little pay bump, for the, because we are in a political climate where everything is so expensive. So it could have to also be what you both have said, which are valid points, but also it could be also contractual stuff or scheduling, because a lot of people want to go off and do another project. For instance, Bowen Yang had to beg Lauren Michaels on SNL to get him to do Wicked. But the thing is, if anybody else would have asked, we don't know if they would have been given the same courtesy because, like I said, Bowen Yang is one of the favorites in the like main cast where he's constantly being, you know, put into sketches, and I think he's great. He's one of my favorites as well. But at the same time, we do have to look at it from all points of view. It could be a lot of different reasons, but I just know that from what I've seen watching the show, but also watching the behind the scenes documentaries of what they do, where Monday you have the host come in, meet with the writing team and Lauren, and they pitch the ideas of what they want to do for sketches, and then Tuesday through Thursday they are scrambling around trying to write up until the wee hours of the morning in hopes that those sketches will be accepted. By Thursday, they're in rehearsals. They posted the list of sketches that have made it. Some people have made their sketches made it. Some people didn't. They got to deal with that. And then the rest of the week is just like go 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 rehearsal show. So I get what you're saying, but I think with Devin, I like the fact that Devin spoke up. He didn't just depart and be like, "Oh, it was a great opportunity. I think it's time for me to go." No, it's like, "Hey, I respect the space, the opportunity that was given, but I'm gonna let y'all know, like, it was a lot of pressure for me to stay on the show and try to, like you said, Ebony, step it up." Because when you're young and you're a person of color who's just gotten on the show, it's a lot of pressure to prove yourself because you have people like Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock,
But
Leslie
they were on
George,
the
and
show for a
Leslie.
long time. I mean, he was what, only on for three
Yeah,
seasons? He left after
he
three
was on
seasons.
for 3 seasons. Ego was on for seven
He didn't even give it.
seasons,
He didn't even
and I
give it some
think
time
Punk.
to. Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's a lot of people of color who are walking away. We can never have that much representation on the show. Like it's only one or two of us who have been allowed on the show up until this point. Now they've increased it to maybe two or three. Sometimes they'll go between 3 and 4. It varies, but it's just interesting that a lot of people of color and the younger cast members are exiting before the more tenured people. So I don't know.
I also think it's different times too. I think with the younger cast, it's just like, hey, if it's not for me, I mean, we're in that society where it's like, if it's not for me, it's I'm gonna go on to something else. I'm not gonna sit around and wait for my flowers. I'm gonna go find them. I'm gonna go pick them myself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of not waiting, let's talk about this. We got a special um, Ask Dr. Dre over here. Hey,
Yes.
speaking
New segment.
The
so we're
Ask
gonna do this
Dr.
thing
Dre
called
segment, yes.
we're gonna ask Dr. Dre, the wise Dr. Dre, a question, and he's gonna give you his smart expertise on it. And one of his followers had reached out and asked him a question, and we're gonna hear what this is. And take it
Yes.
away, Dre.
They done wrote me a letter, basically. And if any of you out there would like to write to me, you can find me on TikTok, Ask Dr. Dre, or you can email drdre1984 at gmail.com, and I will try and see if I can get one of your questions on the air so you can get some real life from directly from my mouth advice on how to take care of whatever situation you're going through. So this one is one that I'm sure all of us have gone through. Um, and I'll just read it for you. Dear Dr. Dre, I'm 33 and one of my longtime friends has basically turned into a magician because they've disappeared. We used to talk every week, and now I'm lucky if I get a text back within 3 months. At first, I thought maybe they were just busy, so I reached out to check in. I sent a thoughtful message, nothing too heavy, just a hey, been thinking of you, let's catch up soon. What did I get in return? A dry, yeah, maybe, and then radio silence. Another time they answered 2 days later with just a thumbs up emoji, which personally drives me insane. I don't want to chase them around like a DoorDash driver trying to find the right apartment building, but I also don't want to lose a friendship I've had since my club bathroom selfies and walk of shame brunch phase.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say about that.
It's confusing because when we do see each other, it still feels good, but in between, it's like I'm ghost chasing. So tell me, Dr. Dre, do I keep trying or let the ghosting run its course? Sincerely, left on red since June.
Until Dr. Dre comes, I guess we can give our 2 cents, even though this is directed for Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre will be back. He's just taking some technical difficulty, but I think that's happened to a lot of us when it comes to like friendships. Sometimes people get busy, and we don't mean to ghost friends, but like life sometimes is lifing, and
Oh,
you're
he's ghosted.
like,
He's definitely ghosted. He gave him
it's
a
a
thumbs
ghost.
up.
It's a ghost, and the thing is, it's like if it comes down to the fact that your friend is not courteous enough to check in on you or to at least give you a response, then I say you got to reevaluate that friendship and ask that person if they wanna you you still want to rock with me or you don't. Okay, Dr.
So
Dre is
Dre,
back to answer your
you're back.
question.
What's your expertise on it?
Dr. Dre.
It's that Vegas
Can
internet.
y'all hear me? My I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with my stuff over here.
It's all right. Yeah. Okay. So we were just trying to chime in on it. So what is your what do you think about that?
It is not working. I can't even hear you guys. I'm gonna come back in. Hold on, let me come back in.
What about you, Eb? Have you ever been ghosted by a friend in the past? And how did you take it? How did you handle it?
I don't know if I've been ghosted or if I've been the ghoster.
She's like, I've been both. I've been both.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think because like not not to say like I'm okay. I'm a Sagittarius for one, so let's just start with that. I go like I have some like I just go dark for a while, and it has nothing to do with the person. It's just I view my own world. But I want to hear what Dre has to say about it. Can you hear us now?
Where did I don't yeah, I can hear you now. Where did I end up at? Anyway, did I finish the letter?
You finished the
I
letter. You finished
You
the
did
letter.
finish the louder.
Okay, all right. So
Duel's over here
this
slurring. That drink must be really. He said you finished the letter. He didn't drink all
you
his cherry
finished it.
coke and
You
whiskey.
did it.
It's a heavy episode. It's a
You
heavy episode. Go
it's
ahead.
so um so I would have agreed with with their first idea that the person might just have been busy because I'm the optimistic kind of person. I'm like, oh, if they don't reach out, they're busy, they have life going on. And if the person that you are reaching out to is in the same age range in their 30s or 40s, they might have families, they have careers that they're worrying about, they're trying to keep their bodies in shape. There's so many things that are going on that people keep themselves busy with and may not respond to you as quickly or as often as you'd like them to. However, let me be clear when I say if you want to make time for somebody, you will make time for somebody. But don't assume that they're purposely doing this to you. If it were me, I would reach out with something soft like, hey, and soft and specific, because you already reached out and said, let's catch up soon. But that doesn't really tell you anything specific. So if it were me, I'd say, hey, I have this particular day off, or hey, when are you free? So that you can get an actual response from this person. So they can say, either I'm never free and I don't want to talk to you, or I'm free this Thursday. What about you? Let's carve out this time so that we can catch up. Even if it's just a phone call or you meet up for coffee or happy hour or whatever, something like that. So, would you keep trying or let the ghosting run its course? I would try, like I said, a specific message or a specific call. After that, you'll kind of get the tone. Because if somebody asks me specifically if I'm available on my day off and I tell them no, I hope you get the message that I'm not trying to deal with you. In fact, I'm the person that's going to say, I'm not available. I don't know why you reached out to me. Please have a good day elsewhere. But that's just me. You can communicate much more calmly and more peacefully than I can, I'm sure. But that is a situation that happens with a lot of people, especially our age. We were really busy. We're tired. We're probably hungry. We might have had a drink or two. There's a lot of reasons why we might not be texting back, but just actively reach out with specifics. And if they say that they're busy, maybe try another time. If they don't want to see you another time either, it's just at that point you can just say, "Hey, what is it really?" Be straight up, be straightforward, especially since this has been a long time friend since your walk of shame brunch phase. So they should be able to talk to you about anything, you know? So let's just talk about what it is that separated us. And if it's really just busyness or you don't have the time or the money, a lot of times it's money. For me, it's money. People invite me out all the time, and I'm like, I'm broke, so I will be at home in my bed. Thank you for asking, though. But check on that and make sure that's not what it is either. There's so many different things it could be. I wouldn't give up immediately. I would try one more time at the very least, especially because it's a long term friendship, and see what happens. And that was is what Dr. Dre has to say.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I think that's
Did you like that? Did you like that
yeah.
tagline?
I like that. Keep that in the edit. Keep that in the edit.
And then yeah, so what are your takes on a duel? Have you ever been ghosted or been the ghostie?
Both. I've been both. Like I said before, during our brief break, I I believe that I agree with Dre. Give him, reach out one more time. Give him the courtesy. Hey, let's talk. When are you free? All of that. Now, if they come back with the 1 or 2 word responses, then you know where you stand. If they don't say anything at all, then you know that they don't want to deal with you, and that you need to reevaluate that friendship and just and talk to the person as to whether you want to continue that friendship going forward. Because some people like just grow apart. People grow apart. You know, people that we make friends with in high school, we some of them we hold on to, some of them we don't. Same thing in college. You know, people just evolve, and they tend to gravitate toward people who are like them, and that means that, hey, this friendship has run its course. I wish you well in your endeavors, and you release that person back into the wild. But at the same time, you know being honest and being upfront and communicating what if there is an issue, give it a chance to resolve, because we don't want to jump to the conclusion that it's an issue. It could, like you said, like Dre had mentioned, there's many factors: scheduling, finances, people's moods. Sometimes you just don't feel like being social. Sometimes you just want to sit at home and watch Netflix all day, and order takeout by yourself. And that's fine. And I think some friends don't understand those boundaries, and you have to have people around you that, even if you want to go and have your own, go dark, like Ebony said, go dark, you have the freedom to go dark, to know that those friends are going to be there when you come out of it. But just
Mm-hmm.
let people know, like, hey, I'm just not really in a good mood. Let me hit you back, tomorrow. I'm having a rough day. I'm just going to chill. Clear communication, because that leaves the pressure off of me, knowing that it's not me. It has nothing to do with me. It's just, everybody's having you have a bad day. It's like Monica said, it's just one of them days. So I agree with both of you. But at the end of the day, if it is a problem, talk to your friend about it, and if it's an issue that you can resolve it. But if that person does not respond back to you, that means they don't have any respect for that friendship, and it's time to move on.
Right, right. I
That's
think
it.
also too, people go through like depression or whatever, and they might be going through a lot. And I have friends who have gone dark because they're going through a dark time, and they don't want to put that off on me.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll say, yeah, I was just, I was going, it's been a rough patch, but I had to work it out. I didn't want to bring you into this muck. And I appreciated that, because I'm like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to have a friend who's just gonna constantly just like, the world is ending around them every time, because it gets heavy on you, and they're running into the same stuff over and over. And then you have those friends who are like, I have enough respect for this relationship to not bring this into your orbit. Let me figure this out, and then I'll come back on the other side. That's how I am. Like, if I have a lot going on, I'm like, I got to figure this out. Like, my brain power right now, for example, going through college and being broker than broke. I'm like, I got to figure out how to make, ends meet. I can't, not that I don't love my friends, but I can't spend time on the phone. I can't spend time. Like, I'm not even thinking about, I'm thinking about getting out of the situation that I'm in, and I'm in that fighter, I'm in that survival mode. So I feel most of the times it really has nothing to do with you. It's the other person going through what they're going through. And then if it is, like you said, like people grow apart from each other. Um, think about the last conversation you guys did have and that person's reaction, and because you may have had that, made that person feel a little uncomfortable, or there were signs that the friendship was growing apart, you just didn't realize it, and now they're, like you said, they're in a different space and they just don't want to be the friend who was there with your walk of shame anymore, because they might have a whole new life that they're building, and they want to keep that
Mm-hmm.
part, they want to close the chapter of that life, because sometimes people see you where they met you, and sometimes they don't have the ability to see that you've grown and you're not that person anymore, and that can always
Mm-hmm.
cause a conflict. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But good advice. All right, I can't wait for
Absolutely.
the next Ask Dray. And on that note, I think we should wrap it up and continue the late night drinking.
Yes. Yes.
I'll finish
I
this.
know I
I'll finish.
will. I
But
know. Mm-hmm.
thank y'all for tuning in, and till next time. Deuces.
All right.